The galaxy had never felt smaller than it did that night. My transport ship, the Aegis, shuddered violently under the assault of plasma fire. Alarms screamed in every corner, and the scent of ozone stung my nose. I had trained for emergencies, run simulations countless times, but nothing prepared me for the cold certainty of watching my crew vanish into the void. The navigation console flashed red. The main reactor was about to explode. "Captain," shouted Lieutenant Harrow, his voice barely audible over the roar of the engines. "We have to abandon ship now." I didn't hesitate. The escape pods were our only chance. But as I reached the launch bay, a small figure appeared from the chaos. A girl. Her skin shimmered with hues I couldn't name, her eyes large and black like liquid obsidian. She was panicked, fumbling with the pod's console, clearly unable to operate it. I froze for a second, assessing the situation. Then I understood. There was only one pod left, and I had been assigned it. The emergency protocol locked the pod automatically, recognizing my biosignature. She couldn't get in. I made a decision in a heartbeat that would change everything. "Take it," I shouted, shoving her forward. "Go. I'll find another way." She looked at me, stunned. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Then she nodded, tears glistening in her alien eyes. I watched as the pod sealed around her, engines igniting, and shot into space. The shockwave from the reactor's explosion threw me across the bay. Darkness swallowed me, and I awoke days later drifting in a damaged shuttle pod, barely alive. The rescue team found me adrift in the neutral zone, but no one knew the fate of the girl I had saved. The truth was simple. I had given her my chance at survival. Years passed. I tried to bury the memory, focusing on my career, commanding missions, and avoiding attachment. But sometimes, at night, I would see her face, the alien girl with shimmering skin and pleading eyes, and I would remember the weight of that decision. Life, however, had a way of coming full circle. It began with a routine distress signal. My ship, the Orion Vanguard, received a call from a sector deep in the Lysara Nebula. The transmission was distorted, but one phrase cut through clearly. "I have returned for you." My blood ran cold. The voice was hauntingly familiar, soft, melodic, but carrying a resonance I hadn't heard in years. My heart pounded as I traced the signal to its source, a small, uncharted moon orbiting a gas giant. I didn't know what to expect when I landed. Maybe it was a trick, a trap, or a hallucination born from guilt and loneliness. The landscape was alien but serene, with crystalline forests that pulsed faintly with their own bioluminescence. And then I saw her. The girl, no, the woman, stood at the edge of a luminous grove. She had grown, her frame taller and more graceful than I remembered, but her eyes held the same intensity, the same recognition. She smiled, and in that instant, all the years fell away. "You remembered me," she said, her voice translating perfectly through the universal comm system implanted in my suit. I never forgot," I admitted, stepping closer, my boots crunching on the crystalline soil. She gestured, and a sleek vessel emerged from the shadows. It was unlike anything I had seen before, organic curves intertwined with metal, pulsating gently as if alive. "I've come to repay a debt," she said, boarding the ship. "And to take you with me." The next moments were a blur. She piloted her ship with unmatched precision, evading patrols, gravitational anomalies, and cosmic storms. In her presence, I realized how much I had missed out on. She wasn't just a survivor. She had thrived, mastering technologies I could only dream of. Eventually, we reached her homeworld, a planet suspended in the heart of a star cluster, glowing faintly with soft purples and golds. Cities floated above crystalline oceans, and the architecture seemed to defy gravity, shimmering in fluid motion. "This is incredible," I whispered, awestruck. She smiled, her hand brushing mine briefly. "I survived because of you, and I grew to understand what it means to protect someone, to honor a life saved. Now, it's time I returned the favor." For days, I explored her world, learning their history, their culture, and the struggles that had shaped her people. They had been isolated for centuries, facing predators, cosmic storms, and rival factions. She had not just survived. She had led, innovated, and protected. And through it all, she had never forgotten the human who had given her a second chance. Our connection deepened, not just as savior and saved, but as equals, bound by an unspoken understanding forged in the crucible of survival. I realized then that my act of selflessness had created a ripple across years and light years, bringing me to a place I could never have imagined. But paradise, as always, held shadows. One night, as we drifted above the floating city, a fleet of enemy ships emerged from hyperspace, black as void and humming with deadly energy. "They've found me," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "I've made enemies over the years, factions who would see my people eradicated for power." I grabbed the controls, instinct taking over. "Then we fight. Together." The battle was fierce. Lasers sliced through the sky, shields flared, and gravity-defying constructs shattered around us. She maneuvered with grace, her reflexes perfect, while I adapted, providing tactical support and fire control. I realized something extraordinary. We complemented each other. My training in human tactics merged with her alien technology and instincts, creating a synergy that seemed almost predestined. After hours of combat, the enemy fleet retreated, unable to breach our defenses. We hovered over the city, breathing heavily, adrenaline still coursing. For the first time in years, I felt truly alive. She turned to me, eyes softening. "I saved you once. You saved me a lifetime ago. Now we face everything together." I nodded. I can't imagine it any other way. In the days that followed, she introduced me to her family, her closest allies, and the intricate politics of her world. I was no longer an outsider. I was a part of her universe, bound not by obligation but by choice. Together, we rebuilt defenses, negotiated peace with neighboring factions, and explored uncharted sectors of the nebula. And still, she reminded me of that first day, the day I chose her life over mine. "You gave me a chance," she said one evening, as we watched twin moons rise over the city, "and that chance shaped everything. I've lived to make sure your sacrifice was not in vain." I looked at her, realizing that I had not given up my life for nothing. In saving her, I had found a world, a purpose, and a connection that transcended human experience. Time and distance had stretched between us, but the bond we forged in that moment had endured, stronger than any starship, brighter than any nebula. And then, one quiet night, as the twin moons cast silver light across the floating spires, she whispered, "I've never stopped waiting for you." I took her hand, the same hand that had once fumbled with the escape pod's controls, now strong and steady. And I've never stopped coming back. The universe felt infinite again, but no longer lonely. Because sometimes the smallest acts of courage, giving up a seat in an escape pod, can echo across galaxies, bringing together lives in ways the stars themselves could never predict. We stood together, looking out over her world, knowing that whatever came next, we would face it side by side. And for the first time in my life, I understood the true meaning of survival. It wasn't just about living, it was about who you chose to live for. The twin moons cast their silver glow across the floating city, and for a moment, the chaos of the galaxy felt miles away. I watched her, my alien friend, my savior, my equal, stand there with the light reflecting in her shimmering skin. Years of separation, survival, and battles had brought us to this exact moment. She turned to me, her eyes softer now, filled with something I hadn't expected: trust, gratitude, and something deeper. "I promised I would return for you," she whispered, and I did. "But more than that, I want you to stay with me, not just for now, but for the rest of your life." I swallowed hard, the weight of our shared past pressing on me. I don't even know how to describe what this means," I said. "I never thought I'd see you again. And now here you are." She smiled, stepping closer. "You gave me life when you didn't have to, and I've spent every day making sure that life wasn't wasted. Now it's your turn to be a part of mine." In that moment, I realized the truth. Survival wasn't just about living through explosions, battles, or cosmic storms. Survival was about connection, about the bonds that carried you through the darkness. And I had found that bond, stronger than any starship hull, brighter than any star in the nebula. I took her hand, feeling the warmth even through her alien physiology. The city around us pulsed softly, as if acknowledging our reunion. The battles we'd faced, the years lost, the sacrifices made, they all culminated in this instant of quiet clarity. "Then let's face the universe together," I said, finally understanding the gravity of what we shared. She nodded, a smile touching the corners of her eyes. "Together." And as the twin moons rose higher, illuminating the crystalline spires and floating gardens, I realized that this was more than a reunion. This was a beginning. A new chapter not written by chance or survival, but by choice. The galaxy was vast and full of danger, but we would face it side by side, stronger together than we ever could apart. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving. I was home. And somewhere deep in the stars, I knew she had been waiting for me all along. And now, finally, I had returned.